The Hippocampus. What is the hippocampus? First of all, it is not a place where large semi-aquatic mammals go for higher education. No, the hippocampus is a structure of our brain. Actually, it's two structures, one lying deep in the heart of each of our cerebral hemispheres.
The hippocampus is located within the temporal lobes close to the amygdala.
The hippocampus gets its name from the Latin word for seahorse, because as you see here in this kind of grody picture, it looks a lot like a seahorse.
The hippocampus you find in the temporal lobe, and it has a very distinct structure which has given rise to its name, hippocampus. Hippocampus means seahorse.
It's part of the limbic system, which is a set of primitive brain structures on the brain stem under the cortex, involved mainly in survival emotions.
What does the hippocampus do?
The main function is memory consolidation. It doesn't store memories, but organizes sensory and cognitive encounters into long-term memories. The hippocampus also plays a role in emotional responses due to its connection in the limbic system, navigation, and spatial orientation.
During the course of our presentation, we want to show you how certain psychoactive drugs have particular effects upon this very important brain structure. Different chemicals affect the hippocampus differently, and we're going to focus on 4 psychoactive drugs in our presentation. First of all, alcohol, then marijuana, uppers like cocaine and methamphetamine, and finally, opiates. Alcohol is a very simple, small molecule which can and does interfere with every part of your brain's neurochemistry, from the reception of neurotransmitters to the transmission of neurotransmitters. It either inhibits or hyperactivates different parts of the brain. Now, the hippocampus relies on good information for it to do its stuff. And so the simplest effect of alcohol on the hippocampus is that the information coming to it is all garbled and messed up, and the hippocampus just doesn't know what to do with it.
If psychoactive chemicals were tools, alcohol would be a sledgehammer. Ethanol affects most, if not all, regions of the brain, and we see these effects both in how the hippocampus is receiving information and how the hippocampus itself functions.
This video is going to take a look at 2 specific hippocampal functions that are disrupted by alcohol.
Alcohol affects the brain more than just in a general way, disrupting all neurons that it comes in contact with. What we have discovered recently is that certain receptors and structures in the brain are specifically affected by alcohol. In relation to the hippocampus, these would be the CA1 pyramidal cells and the NMDA receptors.
As we know, the hippocampus is vital in the creation of long-term memories. However, these memories are not stored in the hippocampus. The hippocampus transmits these memories back out to other parts of the brain. Now, what helps do that? The CA1 pyramidal cells.
The CA1 pyramidal cells are major cells within the hippocampus. Each pyramidal cell has about 40,000 synaptic contacts with other neurons.
They send the information, they send the memories back out to the cortex where it's stored. And as alcohol significantly impairs the function of CA1 pyramidal cells, memories might be created, but they can't get back out to storage. Along with its effects on pyramidal cells, alcohol also severely disrupts the ability of neurons to develop something called long-term potentiation, which is a heightened, long-lasting responsiveness to signals from other cells. You see, LTP allows for memories to become permanent. And the key to the establishment of LTP is the activation of a signal receptor called the NMDA receptor. Here we are at a synapse, the connection between 2 neurons. These little silver balls represent electrically charged calcium, which is necessary for the facilitation of LTP. And this calcium gets into the neuron through the NMDA receptors. With them not working right, well, yeah, your memories are not going to get stored properly. In summary, alcohol affects the hippocampus and memory in 3 ways. First, a general disruption of signals coming to the hippocampus. Second, by interfering with how the CA1 pyramidal cells transmit memories back out to the brain. And third, by inhibiting the NMDA receptors, thus affecting long-term potentiation.
It's like, I don't care about nothing, man.
We all know that the hippocampus is the part of the brain most involved in short-term memory.
One thing that's fairly well established is that THC, the active chemical in cannabis, has a negative impact on a person's memory. Now, is this due to some effect it has on the hippocampus?
You just have no long-term memory because you get high all the time.
Don't preach to me, fatso!
I can preach to you all I want because you're stupid.
You're stupid!
Yeah, you're a towel.
You're a cow!
That's ridiculous. Of course it wasn't me. Marijuana is a memory loss drug, so maybe you just don't remember. I would remember. Well, how could you if it just erased your memory? That's not how it works. Now, how do you know how it works? Knock it off. Okay, I'm interviewing you.
No, you said that I'd be conducting the interview when I walked in here. Now, exactly how much pot did you smoke?
You know, they say that marijuana impairs the memory. This is absolutely not true. That's the man trying to keep you from freeing your mind. It's just like that other lie that they always tell. About marijuana. That other lie. You know, the one... Oh, shoot. I can't remember.
For many years, it was unknown whether these changes are just a non-specific action of THC. But in the mid-80s, it was found that there is a receptor in the brain that is acted upon by THC and starts a cascade of reactions which causes the changes that we identify as high.
So these cannabinoid receptors interact with the THC to give us this high. Well, guess which part of the brain has a higher density of THC receptors than any other? Yep, the hippocampus.
Get a picture of where those cannabinoid receptors are and how dense they are throughout the entire brain.
It's the one region in the brain that contains a lot of THC receptors. When THC attaches the receptors in the hippocampus, it weakens the short-term memory and damages the nerve cells by creating structural changes to the hippocampus region of the brain. When a user has a high dose of marijuana, new information does not register into the brain, and this may be lost for memory, and they are not able to retrieve new information for more than a few minutes.
But what about the long-term effects of heavy cannabis use? A recent study in Australia of daily pot smokers found some interesting results as it relates to the hippocampus.
Results indicated that the hippocampus of marijuana users was 12% smaller.
Yep, it actually shrinks your hippocampus.
I can't remember. It all looks the same. Hold on, let me get high. Then I'll remember where it is.
All right, so where is it?
Where's what?
So in summary, we found 2 notable effects of cannabis on the hippocampus. First, due to the high concentration of cannabinoid receptors in the hippocampus, its role as a memory regulator is particularly vulnerable. And second, the use of marijuana in the long term can cause the hippocampus to shrink.